What's up, everybody? This is the Hyperbolic Review Chamber, sponsored by Variable. So what we do here is review video games, right? So this is my coworker, colleague, friend, Zach Lamott, Dr. Luigi.
Hey, did you know there is a Dr. Luigi that came up for Wii U
I
or something?
know.
Yeah, I was
I
kind
just
of upset.
saw that.
So we'll have to find me a new pet name.
Nintendo's been listening to our podcast, which is thank you,
Making
Nintendo.
notes.
Yeah, thanks, Nintendo. Wait till the Hero of Time Management game comes out. It's a very boring game. It's Excel spreadsheets.
Cool. Excel spreadsheets.
All day. But there's still trophies for it.
Cool.
Platinum trophy for that spreadsheet. Anyway, today we'll be talking about the indie sensation Gone Home.
Gone Home.
Yeah, so the game on a lot of people's Game of the Year list is actually where we heard of the game ourselves. Is we didn't actually hear this game through a regular means of release dates. This happened just through the grapevine, and people were very, very excited about this game, and I knew nothing about it going into it.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, that's a cat, right? That's that company.
I have no idea. I think it's like Fulbright Company or something.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
It's something like that. Anyway, like big shout out to them, for an indie developed game in a studio. It first and foremost, very, very, very good games. That's why we're going to talk about it today.
Yes.
The atmosphere is something that I'm going to talk about right off the top. Is the game it nails it. I was felt uneasy right from the get go, like with the lights flickering. And it was really cool how they that happens in a game, but they actually explain that it's like the wiring in the house,
Right.
that's doing it, which I thought was really, really cool and very, very effective. And I thought it was going to be kind of I thought it was going to be a quirky game, like when you knock on the door and I couldn't get in the house. Then it was like, there's the Christmas duck. Look underneath the Christmas duck and find a key.
Right. I didn't even get that. I was just fucking around with items. Actually, something I do in games compulsively is right now, right away, I just start checking shit out. Can I interact with this? Can I turn this off? Can I turn this on?
You must love Bioshock Infinite.
Absolutely.
Looking through all the garbage cans.
Looking through the garbage cans and finding edible items.
I found a pineapple and I found some cotton candy in the garbage. It brings up my mana.
Exactly. It's funny.
What accent is that?
Hebrew. Anyway, I like the idea that part of the story is that you're coming home from a trip, and in the time that you were gone to Europe, is your family had moved at your house that you grew up in, so you're as unfamiliar with this territory that you're exploring as the character is, which is really cool. So it's kind of almost like a believable thing. And the idea that in games, and this is why I really like to rummage through shit and try to like turn and interact with items in games, because it's funny. But in this game, when you're rummaging through items, it's kind of legitimate, because like if I went home to my parents' house and I was rummaging, it wouldn't be as weird as if I went to your dad's house and started opening the drawers and reading their like
I give my
notes
dad
to
a
each
heads
other.
up. I give my dad a heads up before
Yeah, he
came
might
over.
be cool with it.
Yeah, totally. Especially when you find that porn. Like, did you find the dad's porn underneath the books?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, Dad,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, Dad."
Oh, Dad.
I had the opposite reaction than she did. Anyway, I thought it was even like we'll get to like the sisters kind of I guess storyline and interaction in a bit, but I felt the parents' story. You never really meet the parents either, nor hear their voices or anything. But when you find like the notes and like the dad's like the struggling writer, and like there was a part that really hit me, I think the most out of any part in the game was the dad, and he had that success as a writer in his first book he released, and he's trying to like get build on that success.
Like they say, a novelist's biggest challenge is always their second novel.
Right. And I think his books are so like basically you don't get to read the book, but the synopsis of the book and what have you. I think they sound awful.
Right.
What a terrible read. It's just not my thing. Like I don't like those like kind of like spy thrillers. It's just it just didn't jive with me. But there's a part where the dad you see that his own father, so like your grandfather, left him a note. And he's like a very like prolific writer, and he can't. He tells his son that his books aren't very good, essentially. And there's a phrase that stuck with me, and it says, like, you can do better.
Right.
And I was like, wow, like that's to hear like from your father would be like such like a powerful thing, and to struggle in with your career in that manner, and getting bumped down to like those B-list books.
Right.
Books.
Did you find it's like it's this whole series of forms from like this other publishing company, like this sci-fi, like oldie goldies, like they find it's a publishing company that finds old sci-fi books and re-releases them.
But they're like B books, like in
exactly,
like a B movie. Yeah,
and did you read the note from the dad to that publishing company, like affirming, yeah, that sounds good, let's jump into that. And then he talks about how he's writing a new book.
Right. And I know it's not like something you usually do, but
yeah, exactly.
He goes, I think I can really like capture like the spirit.
Did you find like a conclusion to that?
No.
Yeah, okay, me either.
I assume like it's left ambiguous to the reader to be like they declined,
right?
And which would be like in line with like the.
I felt like the last little section, because I really wanted to find out what happened, that I didn't explore as thoroughly as I did for the entire game up to that point. So I thought that maybe there was something, and maybe you've found it.
Totally. No. And then there's like the mom, right? And she's they're having marital troubles. You can see like the pamphlets and the books, and but then what you find out, like she's kind of having like the affair,
an affair,
but she's not really having an affair. But that's still relatable. You know what I mean? The idea of being in, like, say, in a relationship and like being wanted. I think like, that's what the mom wants again, is like some sort of like passion in her life. And it's those letters that her friend is sending her, being like, oh, like tell me all about Ranger Rick. And the friend is so not like supportive of the marriage. You know what I mean? The idea of like coming to marriage. She's so like she's in for the gossip, right? And I thought that was like so, I don't know, realistic. It was so incredible. And I'm not even a woman, you know what I mean? But I just based on what I've seen in real life in my day to day. But I felt like that was like spot on. I thought that was brilliant.
I felt like that story was too realistic to be something like it really makes me wonder if that was just like somebody's upbringing or childhood, and then they, a lot of people do that. They'll write memoirs, or they'll write an album dedicated to like their childhood that's released by an indie label or something like that. It felt too real to be something like I wonder if even right down to the names, it was somebody's life experience.
I feel like other than like I think they might have changed the names of like the parents or whatever, but at the same time I feel totally. I think there's a frame of reference that exists in the writer or the team of writers that was putting the game out, right? Like it was developing the story for the game.
And if so, I wonder how like they felt, like that family felt, like if they were to like play it or like watch reviews in the gameplay or something, like sort of like a different perspective, because literally a video game is a perspective into an experience. Like it'd be kind of wild to like, I wonder how I would feel if like you made a video game and like I was in it and I could see like my like a perception from a video game character into my life, like how that would feel. I kind of wondered about that.
I apologize in advance for when that happens. I have a very unique perspective. Anyway, like, so let's move on to like the sisters' relationship together.
Okay.
I felt that I don't have a frame of reference for a lot of this material, but like you said, it seems so real. It seemed like almost relatable, even though I'm not a teenage girl going through like these problems and these issues. But at the same time, like it still spoke to me, I think, as like someone who grew up like in the 90s,
right?
And being again, no frame of reference, but seeing that and reading about stuff like that, and like especially like the homosexual like undertones, like the whole story of like discovery and what have you, like it was like a story about like at the end of the day, like love, right? And like I thought acceptance and coming to your parents and what have you, and it was, and whether it be like a homosexual kind of experience. Or come like talking with your parents, you've had difficult conversations with your parents,
or even just like achieving adulthood.
But
which is getting back to the relationship between the sisters. Like, what's really believable about like the mystery that like some people could say like, oh, as if she didn't know that much about her sister. But there's an interesting thing that happens when you've got siblings at a close enough age, because the transition between like, usually the younger sibling will fully witness, the transition between child and adult for their older sibling. But like in my experience too, like I'd left, my hometown when I was, transitioning into adulthood, and my little brother wasn't like, there's a lot of my little brother's life that I had missed, while I was, getting my shit together as an adult and learning how to pay bills and be responsible and all that shit. So like to me, that experience of unraveling the life of your little sibling is still applicable because of that like disconnection or detachment that happens in that interesting phase, because you grow up with your sibling and like well, myself and my brother, we were like best friends. We like when we were kids, we did everything together. There's nothing that we did separately for our entire lives until we became an adult. And then that transition, like when I came back to my hometown and started to get to know my brother as like an adult, was a weird experience, because you feel like you know somebody so well, but so much happens in that transitional phase of anyone's life is becoming an adult, like the younger sister does in this game, you know, realizing that she's attracted to women and going through, you know, those types of struggles, or like she even complaining constantly about like being able to go out, like, oh, my older sister was able to go out at this age, like why am I not able to, blah blah blah. But yeah, it made that experience still like believable to me, as like unraveling that mystery third person instead of directly.
How did you feel about going into the attic, the end game? So spoilers ahead. If we'll put it in the car in the notes of this video that they're spoilers ahead.
Right. Well, like we discussed in the other video review, well, I think we should get into like, you know, the spooky undertones of this game before we go into that.
Yeah, totally. Going into the basement, like I mentioned in our end of year wrap up, was terrifying. I sweaty palms, everything. I went into the basement and turned around immediately and ran back upstairs, and I just couldn't do it. I was so frightened. And it's weird because you find little notes around the house saying that they're looking for ghosts and that they're trying to communicate with your dead uncle. And they do the Ouija board and everything, and you find notes on the Ouija board saying like, I want to live or something like that.
And so I want to come back or whatever.
And I thought for sure that was gonna like pay off in a way where the ghost, you ended up like escaping from the ghost and the house is haunted. And I'm really happy I didn't go in that route, but it was a very, very tense game for something that we were just wandering around an empty house. But they captured a feeling of that, like where I have been scared, like going into a home like my parents' home and like turning television and the radio on just to have a noise going on in the home. So even though that doesn't at the end of the day help, but in that relation, I was putting on the cassettes and blasting the music. So and that made me actually feel really comfortable, which is strange but realistic.
Like I was saying in the other one, when I really started feeling afraid, you know, right from the get-go, when you realize that nobody's home and you're stepping into this house that you've never been to, and like it's storming outside, you know, everything screams horror about it. And like where I got really tense was when I went into that room with the white noise TV, and like and then you find all these tapes and these journals that start talking about ghost hunting and stuff like that. I thought it was a really interesting, and I'm really happy I haven't discussed this game with anybody. I'm really happy to know that I wasn't the only one scared. Like eventually when it wasn't scary, I was like, I wonder if I was supposed to know that it wasn't a horror game or like a mystery in that regard. I felt like I might have been a little bit of a wiener.
Yeah, I was happy that you also had been terrified. I jumped in, man. You know what I mean? Like I wondered if you were going to be as frightened as I was.
But yeah, like I was saying, like which was opposite of your experience. I went into the basement through the trap door, and like I said, it took me a solid like 10 minutes of additional exploration to see if I could complete the game without going in the basement before I actually went down.
Yeah, I went back to like the library study and like wandered around to delay. Like I was like almost like procrastinating going down into the basement, but it was by looking through big books.
Right.
So yeah, like do you want to get up to like the part where we jump into the attic and you see you finally unlock the attic door and
yeah, so and it's okay. So again, like we were mentioning, the coolest part about the ending was that it because, and I feel like it was supposed to be this way, but it really suggests that the little sister is going to kill herself, which is cool because it almost becomes a panic. Like I found that partway through the game, you really start to attach yourself as like really feel like this is your younger sister. So when you're finding all these notes and you're unraveling her character and you kind of start falling in love with her, and when it you know, through the text and everything that you're finding and revealing, you really start piecing together that that's not going to end well.
Right.
It just, especially once her relationship with her girlfriend starts going south in the text and all this other stuff. It really seems like she's a hopeless human being that has no real guidance. And so at that point, it kind of becomes like a panic to get in that room. Whereas before, it's like
I thought for sure was gonna find the dead body up in the attic.
Me too.
I was so expecting that, and then whether you find her like cut or like hanging. I thought for sure like hanging.
Yeah, me too.
And then when you find that last letter, and you find like that she just had like a sleep, like almost like a sleeping bag, kind of like a refuge to go to, and to find out that she, because I thought when she says like don't tell mom and dad, like don't try to follow me. I thought it was like kind of I don't know, I guess like symbolic of like don't follow me to the afterlife.
Right.
And to find out that they left together, that it's almost it's like such like a happy ending.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a different type of triumph. Especially, I was most happy because I was really discouraged once I kind of concluded to myself that she was gonna have killed herself. So to me, when I know the ending of any story, it really eliminates my passion to reach the end or my drive. But I was really happy that they didn't go that way, or that it was a surprise. Like I was really happy with the way the ending was executed. I thought it was really like a really happy ending to like an otherwise kind of like gloomy or somber tale.
Yeah, totally. All right, so for Gone Home, would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would give that a solid 8.5.
I'm going for 9.5, 9.5. I thought it was brilliant. I don't see how that game could be any better than it was for what it is. But I thought it was one of the top of the year, just as a lot of people also feel. But yeah, 9.5 from me, 8.5 from yourself, an average score of 9 for Gone Home. So thank you very much for watching the Hyperbolic Review Chamber. This is our review of Gone Home. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.